Right. The first topic is of major concern to voters today, AI centres. First question, and I'll address this to Chris. Define the, well, I'll let you go, I'll change the order on each question, just to be fair. Define the difference between an AI data centre and an AI super data centre, and explain how you would vote on bills in the Senate.
So, everybody is concerned about AI data centers. Everybody, the super data centers and the regular data centers. What people are not talking about is the thing that people need to be talking about. And that is the ground truth that runs the AI models in any data center anywhere in the country. Because what we see is that the ground truth that those models are trained on are not accurate and are not correct. And so what we see, good way to test this with the models that are running these data centers, is you ask it two questions. You ask it, one, was the 2020 election fraudulent? Number two is, what is the origins of the COVID-19 breakout?
Can I just clarify, when you say ground truth, explain that term, please. What does that mean?
Ground truth is the data that those models are trained on.
Okay.
And that is incredibly important.
So those are two litmus tests that will tell you. Okay. Okay. Explain, Neelam, explain how you would vote on bills in the Senate governing data centers nationwide.
So I believe that AI data centers, basically what Chris is saying, but I will talk more in the layman language, that if AI is being considered to act like a human being, it needs to have laws, rules, and regulations that we have on human beings. So the developers, we have to have more training, and because the concern is, oh, it's going to take people's jobs. No, we need to train and call it redevelopment of the AI and give people the opportunity to create those groundwork where the security, just like any other computer system, there is privacy, security, and regulations where nobody can use it to do any crime. All those watchdogs have to be at the development of the data center. So it is going to be on every step a regulation that has to come federally and then taken over for more details at the state level.
Ernie, how would you vote in the Senate on AI issues?
Definitely, and greetings to everyone. The AI system is here to stay. I guess everyone is using it, even pastors like myself will do a lot of research with it, and it helps enormously. The danger is in twofold. I agree with my fellow senators that are running that the impact that AI centers have in our electric grid is going to be one of the most important things that we have to watch out. Many communities are being impacted and affected negatively because the electric grid does not hold on to that amount of electricity they consume. Also, the water supply is something that will affect. We cannot play around with our water supply here in Florida. I am a Floridian, and I am very proud of our water supplies. Now, I will say that there are alternatives that we can use, and I'm going to ask for the time to explore this very carefully. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, Neelam, Do you believe, everybody's going to get this question, it's so important. Do you believe that the 2020 election was stolen? If so, what would you do in the Senate to ensure our elections are more secure?
Yes, and I actually ran for U.S. Congress District 14 in 2024, and I observed the election fraud myself. As a candidate, they let you go look at the counting of the ballots. What they were doing was they were printing out mail-in ballots, all the mail-in ballots on a plain sheet of paper, and then they had a room where they had people duplicating it. And when they're duplicating it, then the person, a different person, is filling out the form. And when I asked, they said, oh, our printers do not print ballots, so we do it this way. So we argued that this was not wrong because Gore versus Bush had already established that if the ballot is damaged, it cannot be used. And if you're printing it on a plain paper, it's already damaged. But when I went to look in the room and I saw they would let you stand 3 feet and look at it, I saw the ballots, they were all being voted to me. And I come out so happy, hey, I'm winning. But then I lost. And that's when I figured out. In front of me, they were filling out me. Behind me, it was whoever they were paid for. So it was the major election fraud that I witnessed. There were several other issues. But this is something I saw it with my own hands, my own eyes. And I was not allowed to vote on my primary.
Okay, you just need to bring that to a close, sorry. Chris, do you believe the election was stolen?
I know the election was stolen because I investigated it and found all the fraud. I found the fraud in 2020, 2022, 2024, and now in 2026. So it has been stolen. We have not had a legally administered or certified election in the state of Florida since 2008.
I should put the second part of the question is the one here. What would you do in the Senate to make our elections more secure?
Paper ballots, hand counted, precinct level counting, photo ID, banning all foreign money from contributions, and one-day election nationwide. It as a ending the election season and having it one day, and having everything open and transparent, where all the people can see.
Ernie, same question to you. Do you believe that the 2020 election was stolen, and what would you do in the Senate to improve the security of it?
Definitely, I believe the elections were stolen, and those of us that follow this carefully, we have the proof of this. Nevertheless, the past is the past. We have to think about this election now, and I believe the Save America Act is necessary. There has to be ID. There has to be. If you cannot get on an airplane without ID, you can't do anything in the bank without ID. Why is our most important and most precious of all of our rights? Voting for those that will lead our country, and we're going to just let any Tom, Dick, or Mary stand up without any proof of citizenship and have them vote. No, I believe that we have to have the secured elections, and I'm going to ask each one of you to call in and force this. Thank you.
Thank you. Big partner here. Yes, you may have a rebuttal to that.
I went too long, and that's what I want to bring. President Trump has already brought issues in the Save America Act, which Mr. Gleason said. But it's not getting passed. And maybe you guys don't know. Everything there is what Mr. Gleason said. One-day voting, voter ID requirement, all illegals and non-citizens not be able to vote. But the catch in the Save America Act is that they're going to put the poll workers in jail for 5 years if anybody does anything wrong. And that's one of the reasons why it's not getting approved. And this is being done by the Senate. And this Senate, our Senator Ashley Moody is a part of it. They are not letting Save America Act pass because they put this punishable criminal requirements that are not letting it pass. So it's our current senator who is trying to exploit the system and exploit you guys.
Yeah, you on the rebuttal too, do you, Ernie?
Yes, I would like to
Well, I'll give
say,
you one straight after that, Chris. But yes, Ernie.
why haven't you done anything in regards to this in the Senate? Well, it's shameful that our Senate, Republicans, are not voting to back our president and save our elections in our country. When you have heard that over 260 million voter information, your information and mine, are in China's hands right now, I believe you should have stood up and done something.
Okay. Chris, you want to go minutes for rebuttal?
So everything that everybody's talking about here, what they want to do, I've actually done. And I've fought it in the courts. They've thrown rigged judges at my cases. I've filed billions of dollars in FEC complaints, criminal complaints, and serious allegations, serious complaints against Commie Cash Ashley Moody, who has taken Chinese communist money. And I'm really the best candidate. I mean, my other opponents here keep referring to that I'm right, and I am right. And I'm probably the most qualified to be able to speak to election integrity, because everything in the Senate, everything in the House all boils down to election integrity. If you don't have real elections, you don't have you don't have the consent of the governed, and you don't have the will of the people. And I'm fighting. I've been fighting this fight for a very long time at great expense and danger to myself.
No, China. No, we have to go on. Sorry. Look, I missed the question before. Now, China was mentioned a couple of times. Then, on the data centers, a big argument is if we don't push forward with data centers, we're going to fall behind China in the AI race. Do you believe there are repercussions if the US falls behind China in the AI race? Well, do you believe we might fall behind? And what would the repercussions be? Ernie, I'll give you first.
Thank you. Yes, I believe that we will have definite repercussions that will affect us as a nation if we fall behind. We have to be at the top of technology. Now, there has to be some restraints here. There has to be controls that, as a senator, I'm going to guarantee that these will be implemented. We have to make sure that our data centers are protected. This open policy of having all of the information sent out anywhere and sold for monetary purposes, that does not help us. America is great because we have been at the edge of technology forever. We are the ones that create it, and I believe that we have to protect this. And I will implement laws that will do that.
Okay. We'll give you Chris, then Darren. Okay, Chris, you reply to that, please.
China poses an existential threat to America. They have declared warfare against us in 1998 using unrestricted warfare. What people need to understand is that China is embedded in all of our electronics. Where are the Dell computers made that administer the elections? China. Where are the chips made? China. iPhones, where are they manufactured? Foxconn factories, China. Okay? So China is the largest thief of intellectual property on the planet. They steal everything. Absolutely everything they steal. And you will never find anybody more knowledgeable about AI and data and security and the Chinese threat than me.
Neelam, if you could address that question, please.
Well, China has always been a threat. And letting China get ahead of America is something we cannot allow. So yes, there has to be development of AI data centers, but Florida has its own limitations. We have the aquifer, our water table is not that high. So we have shortage of water, and so you can't compare Florida to Virginia. So those laws have to be framed accordingly. As far as the biological warfare, the COVID, I'm an infectious disease specialist and an award-winning virologist. I could see from the start how it could have been dealt differently, but at that time, Dr. Fauci, who's a public health physician, did not handle it right. But it's to compete with China, it's not just data centers, it's even biological warfare and all different kind of terrorisms and all that, them buying our properties. So it's at very...
Bring it to a close, please. Just finish your sentence.
In other words, we have to be ahead of China.
Okay. Now, Islam. The threat of Islamism stems from political ideology seeking to impose Sharia law through violence or cultural shifts, rather than the personal faith of Muslims. The Greater Tampa Bay area is has the biggest concentration of mosques and Islam in the country. Question, I'll address this first to Chris. Is our national security at risk due to the expansion of radical Islamization and or communism? Please explain.
Yes, this is a massive threat, and I've known about this massive threat for quite a long time. I used to be a rather large social media influencer back years ago, before I was digitally assassinated by Mark Zuckerberg and his friends. And why I was digitally assassinated by Mark Zuckerberg and his friends was because I was highly critical of the mass immigration and infiltration of our nation by America's enemies. And Mark Zuckerberg personally removed me, my family, and my friends, and all of the people that we were working with online, directly linked to election fraud and this immigration, mass weaponization of immigration against America.
Okay, Neelam, what would you do? Do you believe that there is a problem and with Islamization or communism? Please explain.
Yes, I'm very familiar with this because I was raised until my teenage in India. And being a Hindu, Hindus have fought Islam for centuries. And I understand the mentality very well. We really need, now they want to go after the Christians. I know that their mentality, and I can make the perfect laws to stop this terrorism and stop the Islamism and this illegal immigration. It could have been stopped years ago, but people didn't realize what we would realize back in India, how these Islamic groups, how they operate and how they need to be stopped, and how this mass immigration to be stopped. Being an immigrant, I understand exactly where to stop and what laws to place, which are not being placed because we do not have the education and other candidates. I would be the best candidate.
Thank you. Ernie, what would you do? Do you see Islamization, communism as a threat? Please explain.
I've been the professor of comparative religions for many years in seminaries, and I want to make a distinction. The religion of Islam, right? They have the right to have their religion just like the Jews and just like the Christians and as all of us. What we cannot accept, and I was interviewed by two of the imams here in the Tampa area, where I was very clear with them. Radical Islam cannot exist in American territory. We will not allow any group to come in with Sharia law or try to attempt against our Constitution. We are one country with one Constitution, and they want to live with us, they adapt to us. We are not going to adapt to them. Okay, that's fine.
Okay, you can do a rebuttal there, Neera. Yes.
So the issue is that Ashley Moody is putting on social media, oh, we don't want socialism. However, she did not even appear for debate today. She doesn't care about people. She is engineering this whole election with the rest of the group. It's like they have a group which is against the law under RICO. And what this is, it's like dictatorship. You vote for these people. You have voter guides in all the counties. You vote for these people. And the normal person who doesn't know what the law is, this is not democracy. This is dictatorship with groupism, and it's now your choice, your right to vote, to change this government and to change the establishment and to vote on August 18th.
Okay.
You want a rebuttal, Ernie?
See, I didn't touch the point about the socialists and the communists. I studied in my early college years, many years ago, under a communist group. And I know what their plan is. The plan is to infiltrate our children, to infiltrate our institutions, to change our way of life. We have to stand against this. I feel ashamed that this young lady, with all the law education she has not stood up to say that what the RPOF is doing in this election in our state, from the school boards all the way up to the U.S. Senate, where they are saying that we cannot run because they already chose the candidates. They told me this in my face in Tallahassee. That's not our republic and our democracy.
Okay.
I have a rebuttal.
The second part of this question. Now, mosques will claim First Amendment protection because, freedom of speech. Why? The question is, what should we do about the growing number of mosques in America, if anything? Well, the key question is Islam purely a religion, or is there a political aspect to it, like, say, communism or fascism, that can be regulated by the government? So I'll address that to Chris. Can we do anything about the spread of mosques? Should we do anything? And what would the justification be for that?
So, at the end of the day, when you come to this country to be an American, you should have to give an allegiance to the nation. And if you're not able to do that, if you're not able to assimilate, then you shouldn't be here. And if part of that is waging unrestricted warfare against America, or infiltrating Europe, or infiltrating America like they did with Europe, that's not acceptable. We see in other countries where Islam moves in, the burning down of churches. I mean, when I was in France for the 75th anniversary of D-Day in 2019, there was a massive rash of burning down of churches. And that's not acceptable. Not acceptable at all. And we need to ensure that people who come here give their allegiance to America.
Okay. So, Neera, and I'll address it to you. So can we or should we shut down mosques? And what would the legal justification, if any, be for that? Yes, to you, Neera.
So, the Islam migration happened, a lot of it is illegal. The mosques do come under the First Amendment. But what Islam is, they themselves call themselves a political organization, that they're not really a religion. The Quran says that if you kill a person who's a non-Muslim, you go to heaven. So that's why they call it jihad, which is a religious war. So that's the kind of evangelism they have. So for America to consider, it has to be regulated under law. So we have to make sure that a religion, or all religions, cannot do this, cannot kill, cannot start praying in the middle of a basketball court in the middle of the day. So we have to make regulations where Islam and mosques are not are regulated to Christian rules.
Okay, Ernie, I'll give you the same question, please.
Well, it's very clear what I said first. I've taught compared religions: Buddhism, Hinduism, Christianity, the Jewish faith. We, as constitutionalists, we believe in our First Amendment. Every country should have this freedom. Only we are practicing it. And now it's being threatened. If they want to have their mosque, they can have it, as well as the synagogues, as well as the temples. But we have to keep an eye on everyone that lives in our country. And this includes every religion. We cannot have radicalized people trying to go against our Constitution. We have some rights and we have beliefs that have to be respected. And this will apply for everyone. And I am very adamant in this position. Yes, I believe in the freedom of religion. I will stand for it, but let's make sure that nobody crosses the line.
Yeah, you can have a rebuttal there.
Okay, so it's all, everything is about the Constitution. And if you decide to gift me or I earn your vote, that's going to be the first and foremost thing. Everything has to be based on the Constitution. Now, that being said, I have very strong beliefs about the founding of America. I grew up outside of Boston. And so I know all about the history of America and how America is a Christian nation. First and foremost, when the Pilgrims saw land, they broke out in prayer. And America needs to get back to God. And America needs to protect its Christians here. And America needs to be protecting Christians globally, because Christians are the most persecuted people on the planet. And genocide against Christians is real. And so we need, yes, the First Amendment, but there has to be an oath of allegiance to America.
So, affordability, cost of living. And I'll start with Ernie on this one. If elected, what kind of policies would you support that might bring Floridians some relief in the rising cost of living?
Well, definitely we have to face this, because $4 a gallon of gasoline isn't cool. And we have to deal with our housing, which our young couples are not being able to purchase homes. I believe, the only candidate that is certified as a manager of housing by the Urban Development, HUD, as well as I have other certifications which I've worked for many years, over 30 years. We will be able to make it affordable if we enact laws in Congress that prohibit and limit the insurance agencies to keep on racking up their rates, the medical insurance, all of these areas that are hurting our country right now and hurting our bottom line. So I believe that as we try to bring this into control, and we know the Iran conflict is what's causing this right now, but as citizens of Florida, let's stand up and let's try to do what is best, is create new jobs, create more opportunities, and bring affordability back into all of our state areas.
I'll give the same question to you, Neelam. Cost of living, what would you do as a senator to help Floridians there?
my main issue is I'm fighting against corruption. I want to bring integrity back to the government and the trust of the people back to the government. So what I'm going to do is what Mr. Eddie Spears said too. First of all, the Congress has to do a combined effort to bring world peace. We have to have smart orders and with the democracy process, and not just executive orders. And right now, our senators are not doing their job. They're required to streamline these orders and create avenues where what if. And similarly, it's not only the gas prices, the housing. We need the fraud and the insurance companies is just outrageous. Not only in the home insurance, the medical insurance, So the main thing is to remove the fraud and abuse at this time, and I'm very familiar with all what you go through, so I will be the best candidate to be able to handle that.
Okay. So the same question to you, Chris.
So, what was the question again?
Okay, the question was, what would you do to help with the rising costs, the affordability problems that Floridians are now undergoing?
Oh, that's real easy. We would have real elections, and we would ban foreign money and dark money from our elections. Because if you want to fix these problems, you have to actually have the consent of the government. And the reason why things get more expensive every year is because our selected officials have been bought and paid for. So we need real solutions for energy. We need to be able to refine the gas that we pull out of the ground here. We need to get and ban Wall Street from buying single-family homes. That has to happen. The insurance company, they again have bought and paid for all of these politicians. The banks have bought and paid for all of the politicians. I've worked in finance pretty much my whole life. I understand it. I understand what the problems are. And, but it all boils down to real elections and stopping the flow of illicit money.
Let me interrupt here for a second. I'd like to remind the candidates to please respect the time. You can see these two gals here. Hold your time up. What does the green mean? What does the yellow mean? And what does the red mean? So please, because if we don't respect that, we're not going to have time for questions in the end. Okay? Thank you.
Well, it's my job to enforce that, so I better get a bit more efficient. So, mandates. In 2021, 3 senators nearly triggered a pre-Christmas government shutdown by demanding that a federal funding bill defund President Biden's COVID-19 vaccine mandates. Most Republican senators opposed this high-stakes tactic to avoid being blamed for a shutdown, and the funding ultimately passed without the anti-mandate language. I'll address this first to Ernie. Would you have risked a government shutdown to defund Biden's federal COVID-19 vaccine mandates? Why or why not?
I'm not in favor of shutting down our government, okay? My son's a federal agent and he's protecting our country, and he's been laid off for 3 months without pay, and it affects those that are giving their life and their service to our country. Our country has to have other systems, and it's these politicians that don't get it straight. They're playing with our lives and with our money, with our economy. We have to take seriously. We have to change how we are dealing with our laws. All of this filibuster, all of this stuff that's happening in D.C. right now, where the Safe America Act isn't being passed, is because our senators, those that are in that position, are not taking this seriously and are not making the changes that have to be done for our country.
Okay. I'll give it to Chris next, then Neelam. So Chris.
Mandates are unconstitutional. It's a violation of our human right. So for them to force people to inject poison into their babies and into their bodies, I think people like me, who, when we first saw that, were like, yeah, we're not taking the shot. And when my daughters were born, they wanted to give my daughters a vaccine for a sexually transmitted disease when she was 5 minutes old. I was against it. And then the doctor said, well, you're a bad parent. And I'm like, no, I'm an educated parent. And as far as shutting down the government, if it takes shutting down the government to stop them from poisoning people, okay, because we have a lot of people who die suddenly, remember that? Yeah, clot shot, turbo cancer, okay? I'm okay with shutting down the government, because it's the more the government shut down, the less harm they can do.
Okay. I'll give it to you, Neelam. Would you have voted to shut down the government? If so, why? If not, why?
So, to remind you, I'm a board-certified infectious disease specialist and with subspecialty in AIDS, HIV virus, and did my basic research in RNA virology, and I understand COVID very well. Just because a little is good, too much is not good. For a vaccine, there is a point where it's called a lethal dose. So what was happening, they were making mandates on booster, he's calling it poison, but scientifically, what they were doing, the mandates were more to help pharmaceutical companies and other organizations make money. It was a business decision. It was not helping people because the studies did not show giving extra boosters were helpful. In fact, people were actually breaking out with the disease, or they were getting side effects. So the mandate to begin with was wrong, and to shut down the government on that, on top of it, was wrong. I would have never supported it.
Okay. So this is a related question. No, I like this question. I'll start with Ernie. Yes, I'll start with you again. Did you personally receive the COVID vaccine? And if so, what motivated you? And would you do it again?
No, sir, I did not receive it, and my beautiful wife did not receive it either. I stood against that, definitely. I don't like all this medicine, and I won't even take a Tylenol if I don't have to. I believe that God's created other ways for us to heal our bodies, and there's a lot of good natural ways for us to take care of ourselves. Yes, there's moments that you have to go to the doctor and all this other stuff, unfortunately. But no, I never received that vaccine, and I'm definitely against anything that the government wants to impose. Why vaccine? 50 different vaccines for a child when he's by 6 years of age? That's garbage, guys. Don't buy it.
I'll give the same question to you, Neelam. Did you get vaccinated?
Yeah. I'm a healthcare provider, and I was a first responder, so I did take the primary and the second booster. But after the second booster, I did not feel well, and that's when I realized that the dose was being too much. Because as an ID, I know how the antibodies are formed and how the boosting matters. So the recommendations, the way it happened, were wrong. But like I said before, you cannot say we don't need vaccines. We have proven data that measles became zero with the vaccine. So you can't stop it. It has to be individualized, where you have to see if there's an immunocompromise or something where a patient can't get. But vaccines do have a role. But it has to be scientifically, the laws have to match the science. You can say one thing or the other. It's not a yes and no question. It has to be tailored. Thank you. And so I would be the best candidate to tailor that.
Okay, Chris, did you take it? And if so, why? If not, why?
No, I did not take it, and I strongly encouraged everybody I knew not to take it, and I strongly encouraged my friends and people I knew who were doctors with medical licenses, who have integrity, who had alternatives like HCQ and ivermectin and vitamin B and vitamin D and vitamin C. And if there are, God made us perfect, okay? God made us perfect. And so we don't need poison, because it is poison, and we don't need that. And so, our opponent here, she likes to talk about being a virologist, but really, there are some issues with her and pill mills and opioids. So I don't know, at what point does a infectious virologist become a pill mill doctor?
Well, I think you might want a rebuttal to that. So, Neelam, you rebut that, please.
So I am also addiction specialist. So there was no pill mill. The laws are very clear that the physicians are immune. And that's what Ashley Moody did, is weaponization of law enforcement. What she did was she stopped where people can have a probable cause hearing. And also she stopped funding to the Florida bar, where when you file a complaint, it doesn't get heard anymore. So I am stuck in the motion to dismiss for the last 4 years, because they did not, the Department of Health already dismissed the complaint saying no violation of law. Thank you.
Thank you. Well, that brings the questions to an end. Kathy, do we have time for some questions from the audience, please? Thank you all for the very lucid answers, by the way.
Yes, that was wonderful.
The wrap-up is now, or the wrap-up? Oh, yeah,
Well,
you get, sorry.
They have a 2-minute,
Yes,
they do
sorry,
have
my apologies.
1
Yes, so
minute or
each of
two.
you do 2 minutes. I'll start with Chris, then Neelam, then Ernie. So you can do your 2 minutes, Chris.
So, who here wants accountability? Who here thinks that the 2020 election was stolen?
Absolutely.
Who here wants elections with no cheating?
Yes.
Well then, if you want to stop the treason, you're going to have to vote for Gleason. Because I'm the guy who built the tools, who's been pushing for accountability. You've seen President Trump issue out an executive memorandum about my work with Act Blue. You've seen the House hold hearings. You've seen Act Blue and other people all pleading the Fifth Amendment. You've seen all of the FBI raids in Georgia, all of this stuff tied to election fraud. And I've been sitting here banging the drum on the Chinese Communist Party. Okay? Yeah. Do you want the guy who understands all of that in the United States Senate, who can't be bought, who won't be bought, and knows what is really going on, and is willing to die on the hill to fight for you? So it's real simple. If you want to stop the treason, you got to vote for Gleason. Yeah.
So Neelam, your 2 minutes.
Hi, so I'm Dr. Neelam Perry, running for U.S. Senate. Why am I running being a doctor? Because I experienced all the corruption. Yes, election fraud is one of the reasons. I wrote the book, Democracy for Sale. The same election that he fought against, I was suing the county in the county court, state court, Supreme Court, and my case is still pending in the United States Supreme Court. Nobody wants to listen to the case. That's what we are talking about. It's not a simple thing to fight against election integrity. That's why I'm running for Senate, because I can make laws now how to fix the system, because I know where it's broken. I'm a physician. I serve the community and serve the people for 40 years of my life. I know what people want at every level. The rich, the poor, the economy, I understand that all. And the legal issues have taught me the laws, taught me the weaponization of law enforcement that Ashley Moody is actually, even till now, perpetuating. The only bill she filed at the Senate level when she's a senator is to make businesses and healthcare fraud as a federal crime. She didn't say anything about judicial fraud or legal fraud and how the attorneys are ripping people off. So it's the people versus special interests. She is basically originally a Democrat who turned Republican, but she's still supporting the Democrat people. She is not the right candidate. I have the experience and I have the fight that needs to be done up at the Senate to fight against Democrats and Ashley Moody. So vote for me on August 18th. I'm your best candidate. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, so Ernie, you get your 2 minutes, and thanks for
Thank
reminding
you
me.
very much. I'm Reverend Dr. Ernie Rivera. I was born here in Tallahassee and raised with a beautiful background. My parents were Puerto Rican, and I understand our state. Half of our state speaks Spanish, right? And I try to blend in and help every single group in our state. I'm very worried about the state of our nation right now. It's being torn apart. And one of the things that I focus on is trying to bring common sense and understanding, try to bring people together, not to divide them. For 48 years, I've been working, building schools, churches, orphanages. I've managed centers for housing for the elderly and for the veterans for over 35 years. I have created hundreds and even thousands of jobs throughout these years. Why am I running for the U.S. Senate? Because I see once again, like I saw in 2016 when I first ran, that our state and our nation was in jeopardy. There is danger right now. But one of the things that's basic for me is I co-founded Protect Our Children Project. Our children in our state are being sold and trafficked. Women are being sold and trafficked. Did you know our state is the 3rd state in the nation with the highest rate of human trafficking? And I ask, okay, our Attorney General, okay, 8 years in the position. When did she do anything to stop the human trafficking and the child trafficking in our state? She had 8 years to do it. And it was never accomplished. Now she wants to have a higher position in our government. The Bible says, if you're faithful in the few, I'll put you in the much, right? But if you can't do the job at the beginning, don't ask me to give you a higher position. It's Ernie Rivera for the U.S. Senate. God bless you. Thank you.
Okay, we did pretty good on timing there. Great job. But we do have about 7 minutes we can take questions. So let's get into it. We received a couple of questions from the audience. And I just had them here. Where'd they go? I can't believe that. Here's a point of order, actually. This is from, I don't have all the words. Thanks, Don. I was looking for you. Okay. Islam is not a religion. It is a tyrannical... What? I'm asking the guy who wrote this. What? Government. Oh, okay. Disguised as a religion. So I guess that's just a point of order, but we do have a question here. Do you believe that the evidence for, I believe this word is tampering of the elections, is so egregious that elections U.S.-wide should be delayed by a national election security emergency until resolved?
Yes. I'll give that to Neelam. Neelam, if you answer that first, please. Then Ernie, then.
Well, I think that's a very good idea, but I'm not sure if that's doable. The issue is that the Save America Act is still not passed. So I believe the president can enter an executive order if he wants, but that's not been presented in any way or form. But I think that should be done because at this time what we have is totally, we know it's all an engineered election fraud, midterm election. So thanks for bringing that concept out.
Okay.
Sure. Do you believe that the evidence for tampering in our elections is so egregious that elections nationwide should be delayed by a national election security emergency until it's resolved?
No, I do not believe that it should be delayed. I believe our Constitution is very clear how we should proceed. I do believe that each state has to get their act together. We're doing quite a good job here in Florida compared to California or others. Nevertheless, we do have to pass the Save America Act. We have to, and I believe this should be nationwide on the federal level. Every county they're going to decide those. But we should have a standard for elections on a national level where everybody that will vote have to be a citizen, they have to show ID, and they have to be registered. If not, they should not have the right to vote.
Do I think that the elections are compromised? I know they're compromised because I found it and I've proven it and I've brought it forward. Okay? We have a dire constitutional crisis right now. And we have absolutely, our elections have absolutely been compromised by the Chinese Communist parties, Israel, other foreign nations as well, and the election corruption cartel in Florida. Right. And the statement that Florida has good elections is absolutely false. And as a matter of fact, there are a lot of things in California that they do better than they do here. Yes, I know, because I've seen it. And if anybody wants to see the evidence of it, go to my website, voteforgleason.com, because I've been fighting it and documenting it the entire time. And lately, in this election right now, I've actually been forwarding public records requests to to the people up here on this table. And ultimately, there is fraud. We found it. There's fraud right now. And I am going to seek a court order to stop the fraud right now.
We have 2 minutes for a last question. Yes, sir, in the back. Yeah, you.
Okay. We have AI, block cameras, overdevelopment, lack of our current infrastructures like power grid. We look at Florida, we have our aquifer system, and then I see our birth rates are decreasing like Japan and that. What would you have us do to keep us from turning into a third world country?
Okay, well, I'll give that to Ernie first, then Neelam, then Chris.
Once again, the AI phenomena, right, it's part of the progress of all the countries in the world. We're not going to fall behind China, and we're going to be at the edge. Like I mentioned, we have to protect our aquifers. We have to protect our electric grid, which is very important, and there's some solutions for that. You can look it up on my website. I understand that our state has to confront these situations both at the state level, that's Tallahassee, and those are issues that the state will do. At a federal level, I will be able to move legislation that will put curtails on this AI. There has to be controls. You cannot let them run by themselves. I like how Neelam said, if it has a personality already, they should have laws also. We have to create some controls in our state, in our nation, on a national, and I believe that compared to California, where they take 2 weeks to determine what the results of some
We
elections
have
are.
1 minute left before we are
We have
taking a
our
break.
elections, and we have results in 2 hours.
Let's wrap it up, but go ahead, Trevor, let's finish it up.
Well, I was going to give Neelam and Chris an answer to this question. Just, okay, go.
So, the data centers, the AI, we've already discussed in detail, and I still would say that we do need controls and we do need restrictions on use of the state of Florida, which would have to be federal guidance. But as for the birthright, what I would suggest that we cannot allow people to come pregnant and have children here and then they become American citizens. That cannot be allowed. So that should be on when people go for a visa, that should be something that needs to be checked, and that should be a federal law. But you're right, the Islam works on multiplying and taking over the government as their philosophy, and I know how to fight it and make sure it stops, and it never happens. Thank you.
Hey, Chris.
So we have flock cameras spreading all over the country. Nobody voted for that. We have flock cameras harvesting all of your data and your information. And it's being weaponized against you. In those data centers with skewed ground truth. But you know, the funny thing is, right? They're not using that AI. They aren't using that AI to ensure that our elections are secure. I am. We actually built AI to do that. And furthermore, why do we not have the elections being having the same oversight that your car does when it's driving down the street? We need to have cameras in the counting centers so that everybody can watch it and everybody can see it. And it needs to not be just live streamed, but it also needs to be archived. That way we can restore the trust in America in our elections. And because at the end of the day, every other issue is fixed with clean, fair, and transparent elections.
Okay. Let's give them a big round of applause. You guys did great. Thank you. Very informative. And now, due to our time pressures, we're ready to take our break for the day. We need to be back here at 2. But check out the doors there, because you'll find a ballot that you can hold till the end and vote for which candidates. We're going to have a straw poll here, so make sure to grab that ballot. And for those who are going to stay in the room here, I'm going to talk about the governor's pledge. This is something that one of our most valued grassroots volunteers put together, and several governors signed it, governor candidates rather, and we're trying to reach out and get as many as we can. I'm going to read it during the break so you know what's in it. Thank you. There's food trucks outside too. Let's meet back here at 2 o'clock.
Hey, it all works out.